Hello Flower is first. She is first. And Goober Patrol. Hello, my friend. Namaste to you. So, we have our friend Joe Delaney up. Let's see. Um, she is doing co-hosting, telling her story on, let's see, uh, Goga Yoga. Give me a second, guys. So we're going to sort of listen in. We're going to do a live stream of a live stream, sort of. I don't think I'm going to be on very long. I do want to watch Joe. I know I can watch the playback. I have it up and running. I want to keep it up for support. Um, give me 1 second. I'm bringing up my desktop too. Babushka says, hello, friends.
Chevy Silverado.
Sorry, guys. All right, now I'm set. Babushka, how are you? So, once again, Joe Delaney. You know what? I need to drop her link. Is up and live on Yoga with Gojo. Yoga with Gojo, I believe. There we go. She's a good friend. She's here often. So I fully support anyone leaving this live stream and hanging out with Joe Delaney. This is her first big event. I have her up and running. I'll be checking it out. And then I'll be watching the full replay. And I don't know how long I'll be doing my own live stream. I don't want to detract from her. Anyway, Babushka says, oh, Slime Diver, did I say hi yet? Or did I forget? If I forget, I apologize. And hello to you, my friend. Babushka is fantastic. Thanks for asking. Goober Patrol says, much love to all my friends. Slime Diver says, hello, Yogi. So what's new with you guys? What do you guys want to talk about today? Throw something out there and let's discuss. Could be anything, I guess. So I just posted a little a YouTube short as well as video of my little bit of my morning walk. Randolph, how are you, my friend? Welcoming Randolph to the live stream. He stopped by yesterday and instantly became a friend. Randolph's doing great. Hey, Randolph, how hot is it in Michigan right now? I think we're going to hit 100 degrees again. I'm in the mid-Atlantic. I'm in state of Maryland. But I tell you what, it's something about the heat produced a fantastic sunrise this morning. Every sunrise is beautiful. I know some people are more fans of sunsets. They seem more dramatic. There's something very subtle about the beauty of a sunrise. And I think that's what I like most about it, is that subtleness. With the day ending, it goes out in this big bang, all its glory, brilliant orange light, as if the day is just holding on to that little last bit of its essence before fading into the night. But the sunrise is much more subtle. A little more grace, it seems. Goober is roasting ingredients for homemade granola. Hey, that's awesome. I remember doing that back in my long-distance backpacking days. Randolph says, great, comfortable? Well, good. I'm glad it's comfortable. I'm doing pretty good. Randolph, Squirrel Sniper is here. Squirrel Sniper and his traditional greeting beautiful souls from across the pond, but under the same skies. What's new with you, Squirrel Sniper? Um, yeah, so I've just filmed a little bit of the sunrise, and it came out pretty well. Although you can never ever really capture that magic. You can give a representation, which is interesting, sort of to talk about. That you know, the Tao Te Ching begins with the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao, and in the Course of Miracles they say words are but symbols twice removed. That any story in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, um, they say the map is not the territory, or the menu is not the meal. Meaning, anything told after the fact is never the fact. It's just a version. It's actually a version of a version, because we don't even truly see what is happening. Our perception is faulty. I think probably Squirrel Sniper could talk about that a bit. How we don't truly perceive reality, we perceive a representation of reality, and then we tell a story about it. So it's actually twice removed. And then there comes a story of the story. Who was it who the other day when we were talking about this said it's like that old game of telephone? When you say something to someone, you whisper it in the ear and it repeats in a circle. By the time it comes back to you, it has absolutely nothing to do with what was originally said. And that is life. That's how it happens. That's our perception of reality. And that's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not forgiving another person. It's not forgiving ourselves. It's not forgiving a situation. It is forgiving our missed perception of what we think happened, which happened is the operative word. It happened, but is it here now? Forgiveness is that recognition that here now, nothing has happened. So it's instantly forgiven, already done. And yet, we hold on to grievances, which are just thoughts. This is why in the Course of Miracles, one of the workbook lessons is my thoughts create a meaningless world. Because nothing we see has any true meaning within the moment. It's all assigned. If I look at the phone right now, it's full of meaning for me right now. If I close my eyes and I don't see it, is there still meaning there? Or is it just memories, just thoughts? Thoughts are never the thing itself. Thoughts are a representation of the thing. So we forgive ourselves, and we're back to ground zero. We are back to the moment. Everything's fine. Let's see. Randolph says he is home today. Good. Good to be home on a Sunday. Squirrel Sniper says my daughter just made the grade for gymnastics competition squad. Wow. Only 3 of 68 got through. Very chuffed, I bet. Hey, congratulations to your daughter. Congratulations to you. Huge accomplishment. And Hello Flower says hello. That's how you get that name. You live your life as a flower and you say hi to the people that you see. Squirrel Semper says, which is like a saga, a handed down memory of ancestors past, but in English language, a saga is a period, or is a period of problem. Interesting. Yep, I knew you'd have some insight to offer. And of course, every saga has other versions. We generally pick the one that puts us in the best light, or we generally put the one that fits in with our grievances against someone, or pits somebody else as the villain. And we keep perpetuating that story over and over again. Let's see. Soul Surfer says the Bach saga is very interesting. I'm just going to bring it up on Google, so I'll have it up so I don't forget. I see it's a book. That looks good. Let's see. And Master Sergeant retired. Mocha is here. Says, hello, little ray of sunshine flower. Another one of our traditional greetings. Mr. Poopinator says, good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Poopinator. I believe Mr. Poopinator has a question for me, but I'm going to let him ask it. And Mocha says, and hello, everyone. I love the fact that Mocha gives out the welcome to Flower before she says hi to everyone else. It is hello, little ray of sunshine, Flower, as it should be. Flower says, I beat me to it. Crystal, now hurt. Morning, Yogi and friends. Good morning, Crystal. How are you? Squarespace says it's so much more than a book. I'm going to check it out. It says here it's an introduction. The Bach Saga, an introduction. So here we go. This is what I've been waiting for all day. Mr. Poopinator says, fart for me, bro, let it rip. Man, wouldn't it be something if I could make him happy right now? If days and days, weeks, I think, of asking, today could be the day. Here's what I love about Mr. Poopinator. He's an optimistic. He wakes up in the morning and he thinks, today's the day. Today is the day that Yogi is going to let it rip. Just for me. And it's going to be everything I ever thought it would be. And then, yet again, I let him down. I always feel so bad about that. Wish I could help. You know, I do. But I'm afraid 59, if you try to force anything, you know, I'm going to pull a muscle in my eye. I'm going to pop a blood vessel. You're going to see a vein pop up in my head. So, man, for personal health, I can't do it. I apologize. I got your hopes up, and I'm letting you down again. Flower says, what? Let's see. Randolph says, have you heard of the book Neotech? I haven't. What's it about, Randolph? I'm going to Google that up, too. I see things about it, but I don't see a book. Let's see. One more. I'm going to be posting this throughout. And I hope it works for you guys. Again, this is the link for Joe Delaney co-hosting YouTube episode with Goga Yoga. And she is sharing her story. And if you don't know Joe Delaney's story, it's completely awesome. She talked about her goal as being a light to the world, and she certainly is a light to the world. If you want, guys, it's on now. Don't wait for the replay. Go check it out. I don't mind you guys leaving here, not to support Joe. You know, that's awesome. Kay says, hey, Yogi in chat, driving and listening. I appreciate that, Kay. How are you? Crystal says that she is well. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. We got some laughing emojis from Mr. Poopinator. That's what I like about Mr. Poopinator. Anytime you got someone laughing with you, you're in a good community. You know, you're in a joyful community. Squirrel Semper says the Bach Saga is the story of spoken language. Wow. Hey, Mocha, you might want to look at that. The Bach Saga. It's a story of spoken language. Mocha was a linguist in the Air Force, Spanish as well as Somali, but language itself is a passion, which is why she is also doing sign language. Luke says, I think we'll be fine. I appreciate the support. Night Watcher is here. Night Watcher is ever lengthening his name. Night Watcher of batteries and fire, eternal flame. Says, hey, Yogi. Night Watcher, how are you? Mr. Poopinator says, I am curious to know what you do for a living. Right now, I do this. I just talk on YouTube. That's how I'm making my living. I'm semi-retired. I still do a little bit of, well, I teach meditation. I'm a certified meditation teacher as well as breathwork coach. Also a certified yoga teacher. When I say yoga, it's across the board yoga, meaning it has the yoga ethics, which is what I teach, breathwork, pranayama. The asanas I don't really teach. I practice, but I don't really teach. I like what has become more of the neglected path of yoga, because that's what transforms us. That's what makes us, I'm hesitant to say better people, but what develops us fully as the divinity of being human. But mostly, I come here and talk to you guys. Let's see. Crystal says, do you have any suggested reading for elderly folks with a blown hip to do yoga? You know what? I would start out doing chair yoga, which is very, very helpful. And it would build up some capacity to expand and then lead into gentle yoga. And there's several books. If you just go to Amazon, quite a few books on chair yoga and gentle yoga. So you just put it in search engine and you can't go wrong. It gives you a place to start. Also, I highly, highly suggest doing the breath work, doing the pranayama aspect of yoga. There's 8 branches of yoga. Hold up my hands and absolutely no one can see it. There's absolutely 8 branches of yoga, ending in samadhi, which is, we could say, bliss consciousness. Some might say an awakened state or enlightenment, but let's just call it bliss consciousness. Let's also call it just an easier way to live your life. So breath work and chair yoga will take you very, very, very far in your overall health, which will allow you to gain some mobility, and then you can start doing some deeper yoga poses. Randolph says it's a book of property love and romantic love. I didn't see anything come up for that, though. I'll look for it on Amazon when I get the opportunity. I appreciate that, Randolph. Flower says, okay, this will be long. Give me a sec, Yogi. There'll be a lot of highs in mine. That's one of the things that makes Flower Flower, is she has the best greetings in the YouTube stream game. Mr. Poopinator says, I can tell you have a good soul. Thank you, my friend. Here's what I do. I make a lot of mistakes. As we all have, as I have throughout my life, as I continue to do so. But I come back to each moment when nothing has happened. So that doesn't mean that I don't feel bad for some of the things that I did or feel guilty for some of the things that I did. But even when that happens, even when I'm feeling guilty, if I forgive, I come back to this moment and I let it go. And it's a continuous process, meaning it's done when it's done. I don't know when it'll be done. When I no longer feel like I need to forgive each moment, and the moment itself simply rests. But it gets easier, easier and easier. How old are you, Mr. Poopinator? Because it's never too early to start. I keep stressing the fact that forgiveness isn't something that we give to someone, including ourselves. We don't forgive ourselves. We don't forgive other people. By forgiving, by simply saying, I forgive, means that we realize in this moment, none of those past events, none of the things that weighed us down, none of the things that hurt us, none of the people that we've hurt, it's not happening right now. So any regret, any grievance, any guilt that we have, simply a thought in the mind. So what we're doing is forgiving the thought. And when we forgive the thought, we let the thought go. We might have to do it again, and we might have to do it again, but we just keep on doing it. What else are we going to do? Continue to feel bad or continue to forgive? When I forgive, I feel better instantly. When I hold a grudge against myself, when I have a regret, when I have any ill will directed towards me, I can either feel bad or I can forgive it. And I'd much rather feel good. Call me selfish. I'd much rather feel good. So we get a hi Randolph, hi Mr. Poopinator. Oh, Randolph says prosperity. I mean, okay. I will be looking for that book. And we get a hi Crystal. Squirrel Sniper says, Mr. Poopinator, I wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. I appreciate that, Squirrel Sniper. We get a hi Luke. Hey, Night Watcher, you're actually early because I totally made a mistake on her birthday. It's the 29th. So you're ahead of the game. Luke says, I think we'll see a huge increase in people understanding sign language. All the baby videos have them now. Really cool. Hey, that's awesome. Mocha, did you see that? Thanks for sharing that, Luke. And Flower continues with, hello, beautiful squirrel. Our friend Barb is here. Let's see. Mr. Poopinator is a certified fart master. I won a lot of fart competitions. One time I let it rip so hard, I sharted myself. Hey, so is it based on loudness? Is it based on volume? Is it based on odor? I almost said fragrance. That would not be the right word. What is the criteria? I'm going to give you something to think about. Flower says, iron flower. I was half expecting you to change your name. And yes, Flower, you can blame me. She says you're not late. Yogi messed up. It's the 29th. I did mess up. Crystal says, thanks for your help. You're welcome, my friend. Kay says, I hope everyone is doing well today. Thank you, Kay. I hope you are as well. Mr. Poopinator says, only books I read are Dr. Seuss. Hey, you can learn a whole lot from Dr. Seuss. I'd recommend, though, branching out a bit and maybe some Shel Silverstein and some Marie Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are. But you know what? Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree. I don't know if you have to go any farther in any book ever than that book. Let's see. The only books I've read is, I don't know. I don't read books. You might sometime, though. Barb says, I am a spiritual brother. Sorry I'm late. Hello, everyone. Hugs and blessings. I appreciate you being here, Barb. Speaking of being late, guys, make sure you check out. We're going to do this one more time. I'm going to do it a bunch more times. If you want to leave this chat, go give some support to Joe Delaney. So we got a hello, Miss K. Hello, Miss Barb. Flower is doing her job. Let's see. So Miss Poopinator says 21. That's a perfect age. That's a perfect age too. Starting that whole forgiveness process that we were talking about. It's a good age to start doing some yoga, to do some breath work, to meditate. And it's a good age just to kick back and be 21. Miss Poopinator says, I'm ready to go to a Chinese buffet and let her rip. Gotta appreciate that enthusiasm. Randolph says, these are just errors. No need to forgive. We're all ashamed of them. I agree. And you know what? By rights, do we even need to think of them as errors? For me, even if you say error, you're giving them a substance. You're giving them a label. And you're giving them a reality. But right now, in this moment, they don't even exist. It's just a thought. And you got to bring that thought into your mind, or it's got to float into your mind. If it didn't float into your mind, it wouldn't even exist at all. Someone might say, if they were injured and put up their hand and say, well, what about this scar? The scar has a story to it. Every story is still just a thought. It's still just a word. A scar itself is a marking of something that occurred, but still isn't in the present moment. Our friend Jacob is here. Jacob says, hey everyone, greetings and blessings. Big salute to y'all. Salute to you, Jacob. How are you? Randolph says, just let it go. That's the way to do it. Life moves on, so why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we just be with the flow of life? Luke says, I would rather you feel good too. I appreciate that. And you know what? I extend that right back at you, Luke. I would much rather you feel good as well. And let's upgrade that. I'd rather you feel joyful. Our friend Wolf is here. Wolf, how are you, my friend? Wolf says, hi, to Jacob. And Flower continues the long list of hellos. Randolph says, we're human. Exactly. Shakespeare said it best. Although, for Squirrel Sniper's sake, I'm going to say Shakespeare. These are quotes. Rabbit ears. Shakespeare or Sir Francis Bacon said it best. To err is human, to forgive is divine. And you know what? How often do we ever extend that back towards ourselves? We think about forgiving others, but how often do we take that same energy and extend it to ourselves? Crystal says, morning to Barb. The streak of welcoming continues from Flower. Luke says, made me smile. Awesome. That alone was reason enough to wake up this morning. Honestly. Well, that and the sunrise that I saw. Those two things. I also saw a great blue heron this morning, which is a pretty awesome thing to see. Barb says, thank you, Flower. How can I handle a stalk that loved me so much? What do you mean by that, Barb? Empress of the New Earth is here. Awesome. Says hi, Eric in chat. Just stopped by to say hi. Still in the process of moving. Last week. Hi to everyone in the chat. Empress of the New Earth is a good friend. You're all good friends. But I've known Empress of the Earth offline for 20 plus years. As well as Mocha. Master Sergeant, retired. Mocha. I've known her in real life offline for almost 23 years. And as a matter of fact, I know her so well that I actually married her. That's when you really know someone. Brian says, hello, Eric. Thought I'd say hi before getting ready for work in a little while. Appreciate that, Brian. Hey, I got the link that you sent, and I'm going to check it out right after the live stream. Jacob says, hey to the Empress. Dottie's here. Dottie, how are you? I saw you over chatting with Joe. I just clicked on that link, and man, you see in the before and after pictures between 2001 and 2024. And Joe Delaney is amazing. We're going to drop this again. How are you, Brian? And how are you, Dottie? Brian says hello to everyone. And the long streak of welcomes continues from Flower, from the iron-fisted Flower. She got that name yesterday because nobody messes with Flower. I had to go put in an order or pick up an order that was left at my door yesterday during the live stream. And I left, and before I left, it said, Flower, you're in charge. When I came back, every single person in the chat was banned. Everyone was put in YouTube prison. There was penalties assigned. Penance had to be paid. It was brutal. The reign of Flower was short but brutal. When I came back, she didn't want to give up power. She's like, nope. From now on, this is just a Flower doing burpees in my basement. Let's see. Barb says that was Pizza King from yesterday with new name. Okay, thank you for that. Let me catch up a little bit to the top. Luke says you did it again. Brando says I would prefer for you as well with self-love, happiness, and enjoyment of life, being alive and wellness. Man, you summed it all up there, Randolph. You just summed it up. I mentioned yesterday, being an athlete and working out my entire life and just striving and striving and striving. And then through my teens, 20s, and 30s, I thought, you know what, if I apply myself to yoga and meditation, I could be enlightened. And I was striving. That was the end goal. I was striving for enlightenment. In the past few years, it has become a very gentle process and flow of just being happy to be alive, of waking up in the morning and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, that I exist at all. That's enough. I don't need anything more than that. I've learned to say the prayer of thank you in terms of being content with what I have. Let's dive in here and catch up. Flower says, sorry, I didn't give them a chance today. Like I said, you don't mess with Flower. More than that, you don't mess with Flower's people. Flower is one of the most protective people that I know. If you're here in this chat, she will defend you. Dottie says, amazing woman, Eric. Yes, she is. Absolutely so. I'm looking forward to diving in this evening and catching up. Barb says, I don't know what is happening to me. I am so tired and just restless. I guess I need to just lay back. And hey, Barb, you've had a rough time physically and emotionally. So I agree. Just lay back, relax, get your energy back, dive in when you're ready. Let's see. Wolf says, good job, Flower. She's on the ball, Wolf, isn't she? Dottie says she's good today. Oh, actually, Empress, tell Miles and Keaton I said hi too, and thank you. Empress says she was standing on business, putting everyone in the timeout chair. She was taking no prisoners. Empress says she's feeling better. Excellent advice from Flower. Sleep is good when you're tired or sick. Also, to keep you from getting tired or sick, make sure you get that restorative rest, as well as do the things through the day that help you get that sleep. Wake up early, wake up on a schedule. No matter how you slept before, try to wake up at the same time. It's always tempting to sleep in. It doesn't help. Get sunlight within the first few minutes of being up. 5 minutes. Sunlight hitting the eyes. It sets off a biochemical event that will help you sleep later in the day. Breath work throughout the day, especially specific breath work, that will bring you into the parasympathetic nervous state, the rest and digest state. Take a 5 or 10 minute walk. Doesn't have to be hard. It can just be a few steps after every meal to help with digestion. Flower says, if you're sick or aren't feeling well, try to sweat more. It works for me. Good advice from Flower. Dottie says, yes, I feel I needed to heal my body with sleep. Sleep is a great restorer. Just, it resets the clock. Sleep is also a very spiritual activity. You have 4 states of consciousness, according to yoga psychology and modern neuroscience. Basically agrees. You got the waking, everyday state of consciousness, and we have dreaming state of consciousness. Yoga psychology says the dream state is where we play out and release the karmic events of the day. So it's essential for emotional and spiritual health. Then we have deep sleep. Deep sleep is when we merge back into life itself. The intelligence of the body takes over. We don't have to think to get things done. Everything just happens on its own. The heart pumps, blood flows, the spleens. We don't have to do anything. It's all taken care of. That's our natural innate intelligence. With that in mind, no one's ever more intelligent than someone else. Someone might have more information. Someone might be more clever at retaining information, but they're not more intelligent. No one has more or less life coursing through their body, that divine intelligence, than anyone else, because it's who we are. Let's see. Let me catch up here. Jacob says, how many miles did you walk when you were out and about, brother Mr. Yogi? I did 2.5 at about 5:20 this morning. And then I did almost another 2 with Mocha and Misty in the afternoon. Even in the, late morning. No, I'm sorry. It was still early morning. It was about 9 o'clock. And it was already in the high 80s at the time. Luke says, Flower is an OG. Yes, she is. Let's see. Flower says, try to get a warm environment before you sleep. And when you wake up, you should be sweaty, and wipe it and take a nice shower. Okay, I hope that helps. Randolph says, you have the knowledge of sun in your eyes and so forth, as I have learned. Exactly. Randolph is dropping some deep, deep insights and wisdom here. Very much appreciated. Mr. Poopinator says, I just took the biggest poop I ever took in my life. Yeah, but you know what? You're only 21. You got a whole future of big poops ahead of you, man. So you should say, I just took the biggest poop as of yet. But now you see your true potential. You see what can be done. Dottie says, I need to get food now before my video starts in just under an hour. Take care. Let's see. I hope you guys get a chance to... I want to drop Dottie's link. This should do it. Not all of my links work. Dottie has a premiere coming up in an hour, guys. Randolph was laughing out loud. Flower saying, Flower took a leave of absence from hanging out with us. And this is what she comes back to. Wolf says, blessing Dottie. Randolph says, or I meant I smiled. Flower says, hey guys, what have you been craving for a while? That's a good question, Flower. I'm trying to have an answer, but you know what? I really don't think I'm not sure I've been craving anything. Unc says, Philly cheesesteak from Philly. Any chance of, I know you do some traveling, Unc. Any chance of you going to Philly? I gotta admit, I really don't, food-wise, I really don't have any cravings right now. I've simplified my diet so much that just doesn't seem that I have any. Wolf says, Mexican food. Just Mexican food in general or something specific? Mr. Poopinator says, it was Wadi, so it came out easy. I appreciate letting us know. I would hate to think that Mr. Poopinator actually injured himself. Flower wants cheesy food. It has been all over my FYP. I don't know what FYP is. So right up above is Dottie's channel if you guys want to check her out. Flower says, I love cheese, by the way. So let's see. Luke says, I'm starting to think Mr. Poop is lying. He just wants us to think he can toot. Man, that sounds like a challenge. Sounds like a challenge. There's only one way to find out for sure. I think this calls for, I think it calls for a toot-off. You got a YouTube channel. This is an opportunity. Put some quality content. To be honest, Mr. Poopinator sounds like a title. And you don't get a title. People don't hand out titles. As our friend Night Watcher might say, willy-nilly. You got to step up and earn your title. Randolph says, poop reminds me of my friend. He always talks about poop. And I smiled. I hardly smile much, so today was a great day. That's awesome. Hey, Mr. Poopinator. Did you read that? Um, that's no small thing. If you can make someone smile, if you can remind someone of a friend, um, you've done a good thing. No matter what happens for the rest of the day, you did something good. Hey, Randolph, I'm glad you got a smile, my friend. Flower says, why is he so obsessed? Um, I don't know, Mr. Poopinator, if he would like to share his life story. At one point, he wasn't a Mr. Poopinator. He was a baby Poopinator, and then a boy Poopinator, and then a teenage Poopinator. Now he's graduated to Mister. It's a lifelong journey. One day it's going to be Grandpa Poopinator, you know. And to think we knew him when. I've said poop more times in this conversation than I have in the past 20 years, probably. Barb says no one can see. Oops, sorry. No one can see your home. Wolf is protecting me. Everything's boarded up. Oh, hey, Barb and Wolf. What's going on with the storm? Unc says, no, didn't like it last time. We were there for a tournament. Philly can be a rough city. I've never spent much time in Philly, field trips as a kid. I'm from Pennsylvania, but way different area of the state. Miss Poopinator said, Eric, when was the last time you had a good old burger? Well, for me, a good old burger would be a vegan burger. And that was probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And then for like an actual real life beef, it's been over 15 years. Even longer. Before I went vegan, I was a vegetarian for a while. Jacob says, in active rest days, I walk about 4 miles, but stay moving throughout the day. I can put in about 7 to 10 miles of walking. That's awesome, Jacob. Walking is one of the single best things that you can do. I think I mentioned towards the end of my ultra running racing days, which aren't officially over. I'm only unofficially retired from racing. I started power walking, not race walking, because race walking is a specific technique that follows rules of the sport. Power walking is similar, but you don't have to follow any rules. And I walked many of my really long races almost as fast as when I was running, because you don't slow down as much. So sometimes in an ultra, someone might start out with a 10-minute pace, 10 minute per miles, 10 minute per mile, which is pretty fast for an ultra. And then we're talking 100 miles. By mile 50, they're doing 14-minute pace. By mile 80, they're doing 17. And sometimes towards the end, they're limping it in. But if you're walking at a strong pace, you can maintain like a 15 pace all the way through. So you end up passing all of those runners later in the race, and they absolutely hate that. So good for you, Jacob. Let's see. Flower says, wait, who's Wolf to Miss Barb? They are, what's the word that both Barb and Wolf use? My walk beside. Barb says, anything seafood for me. Oh, okay. Flower says, FYP says, for your page. Makes sense. We get a laugh from Randolph. All right. I'm not too far behind. I'm going to dig in and catch up. Barb says they got Flower up, waiting for her here. Unc says, Max cheesesteak was the best I ever had in Philly, but actually the best sandwich was the pastrami from Hershey's. Herschel's in Philly. Interesting. Unc is a foodie. And Unc is a very, very lean foodie because Unc does 100 burpees minimum every single day for over 1,500 days. When you do that, you can eat what you want. Barb says, Wolf is cooking crawfish for me tonight. That's awesome. Mr. Poopinator says, I did, brother. Good. I'm glad. So, you know what? When people say something like, why do you have a conversation with Mr. Poopinator? Because look what happens when you do. Good things happen. Let it be said here on Just a Yogi doing burpees in his basement. Good things happen when you have a conversation with Mr. Poopinator. I stand by that statement. Luke says, Flower says, look at me catching on to the lingo. Not gonna lie. I thought Wolf was a girl at first. Just when Sue is here. Sue, how are you, my friend? We were just talking about Pennsylvania. We were talking about Philadelphia with Unc. That he actually preferred the pastrami sandwich in Philly than the Philly cheesesteak. Not that the Philly cheesesteak was bad, but the pastrami was better. We got some laughing emojis from Mr. Poopinator. Just once he says, oh my, what I've come into. You never know. You never know what you're going to come into. I like to think that nothing's off the table. You know, you guys know what I love talking about. I love talking about the original 8 limbs of yoga that I outlined before. I love talking about different types of philosophy, especially things along in the non-duality tradition. I love talking about A Course in Miracles, meditation, breath work, all that stuff, nature, anything at all. Those are my preferred things, but my goal isn't to make the conversation about me, but to make it about you guys. And then, hey, if I can sort of weave some stuff in between there, even better. I'm really beginning to think that a good live stream is an art form, and you let the art play out. Flower says, ooh, lovers, I see. Why does that sound so wrong, Flower? Barb says, Flower Wolf is my walk beside hubby. Exactly. Wolf says, now if I get to Birmingham, Alabama, look up Renyo's Deli and have the Richmond sandwich. Hey, Unc, have you ever been to Birmingham, Alabama? It's a good suggestion for you. Like I said, I know he travels quite a bit. Barb says, no storms. Now they all went fuff. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Randolph has a poop question. Let's hear it. Is it for me or is it for Mr. Poopinator? I would think if you have someone named Mr. Poopinator in the house, I'm going to direct all poop questions to him. Flower says, sure, you can call me Flower. Thank you for that, Barb. Oh, Randolph says, what did he go vegan for? I went vegan for the animals. I could no longer be part of that endless cycle of cruelty. I just couldn't do it. I come from a hunting family. I mentioned before, from Pennsylvania, where my dad was from. They still, to this day, there's only one stoplight in the entire county. They closed the schools for 2 weeks for deer hunting season. It's huge. And all I wanted growing up in a beautiful suburban area filled with nature. But visiting my family up there, all I wanted was to live up there. I wanted to do what my family did. I wanted to hunt. When I was 15, I moved up there and I worked on a mule farm and I hunted, and I did not care for either one. I loved being up there. I loved being out in nature. I even like target shooting. I just don't want to shoot anything. Um, and I'm not against anyone who eats meat, but I think if we examine the food industry and we have a heart, we can no longer participate in it. So if you want to eat meat, hunt or support local farmers, husbandry. This was the word that Wolf a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, I had used in a conversation. Husbandry and the fact that domain doesn't mean do whatever we want. If you're given domain of the animals, that means you take care of animals. And now we actually raise them to be food stock. They're a commodity. They're no longer a thing. They're no longer a living thing. They're an object. And no animal should ever be an object. No animal should ever be an object for a momentary pleasure on my plate that I won't even remember tomorrow. So that's my reason. But again, I don't. I often talk about being a vegan, but you won't hear me say I think you should. You won't hear me say that you're wrong for what you do. It's my own personal. I appreciate you asking though. Flower says cow. Yeah, Flower, you remembered. There was I saw a photo of a cow being kicked in the face. That was the last thing that brought me there. And by a farmer. He was wearing rubber boots and overalls. It was in a barn. They were trying to get the cow out of the stall. The cow plopped down. If you're kept almost in a crate and you're pushed out and you're expected to move freely, it's not going to happen. The cow collapsed. Farmer kicked him in the face, and the cow gave that farmer such an empathetic look. Not one of malice, not being mean, but one of, I can only call it forgiveness. Someone might say projection. But if you've ever been around a cow, you know what loving creatures they can be. If you've ever been around any animal, you know that empathy is a shared commodity between all of us. So when I saw that look on their face, it was over for me. I was done. I knew at that moment I was done eating meat. Something similar, happened to me when I quit drinking. It happened in an instant after a decade of extremely hard, dangerous drinking. Dangerous for me, but more of a dangerous for the people that I was around. I was given a moment of grace and realized if I never wanted to take a drink again, I didn't have to. And in an instant, I was someone who didn't drink. So, thank you for that, Flower. Jacob says, that's incredible, brother, Mr. Yogi. Thank you, Jacob. Rage Addict says, namaste. Namaste, my friend. Let's see. Barb says, I'm leaving now. The trolls are getting in here. Don't want the trolls to hurt anyone. Hey, they won't hurt anyone. Barb, you stay as long as you would like to. If you have to go and you want to go for your own sake, that's absolutely fine. But hey, you're welcome here. If people come in and they want to listen, that's absolutely fine. If they want to talk, that's absolutely fine. If they want to attack, if they want to air their grievances, then, we end up saying no. Rage Addict says prayers. Thank you, my friend. See that? Iron Flower. The Iron Flower has spoken. She will put her foot down. No one will play games with anybody here as long as the Iron Flower is in charge. As long as the Iron Flower wields the blue wrench. Rage Addict says I'm not a troll. No, Rage Addict, You're absolutely fine. You're here. You came in friendly, politely, much appreciated. All that's good. Laradox says he's actually 15. Laradox, I didn't see you sneak in. My friend, how are you? Laradox says, Yogi, okay. I know that's kind of weird, but I lied about my age. Mr. Poopinator wants Taco Bell. Do you got one handy? Laradox is actually 15. Hey, Greg, I didn't see you come in, my friend. Greg says, Laradox, not good to lie. Laradox says, reason I lied is because, well, I don't know at first. I didn't want to share my age, but I trust all of you guys now. Either way, Laradox, you know, no harm, no foul. Thar says it's fine, Greg. It's understandable. Wolf says, I knew you were young, not sure if too young for this chat. Laradox, he's doing good. Good. Glad to hear it. Mr. Poopinator says, who says not to talk to me? That's messed up. Probably some slob with no friends. Well, you know, some people might not get your humor, Mr. Poopinator. Wolf says, I don't think Yogi is age restricted. You know, I have the 18 plus thing, which everyone has ignored, which is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. No one here ever uses any inappropriate words. We talk about some deep subjects, but nothing inappropriate. And everyone looks out for everyone. So, you know, as long as that keeps happening. Greg says, hey, Laradox, you're still cool with me? Awesome. Thank you for that, Greg. Mr. Poopinator says they want you all to themselves. That could be the case. They see Mr. Poopinator as a rival for my attention. Can't have that. Luke says, don't worry, Lou, you'll grow out of it. Flower says, not sure too young for this chat. I wonder if 12 is young enough. Says one of the very first people who started hanging out here, almost from day one. I mean, I was going live for a while, but when it started to become something better for me, the right people showed up. Greg says, I got to be honest, if I knew someone lied to me, I'd be very pissed off. Interesting. I don't even think it occurred to me to be pissed off. The lie didn't affect me one way or the other. I don't even think of it as a lie, to be honest. I think of it as Laradox feeling the need to do what he did for whatever reason. It's not my concern why he did it. It doesn't affect me in any way whatsoever. That would be like someone coming in. That would be like Mr. Poopinator coming in and saying, you know what? I'm not really a poopinator. That would be like Mr. Poopinator coming in and saying, you know what? I've been constipated for the past 6 years. Now that would be something terrible. That would be something hard for me to understand. Larodax says, I don't have any parents, but live with my aunt, and that's not a lie. Wolf says, it would depend on how I found out. Yeah, I don't even think even that would. I'm not quite pissed off proof. But it doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen for long. And when it does happen, it's never a reflection on that person. It's a reflection on me, what I'm holding in my mind, what I'm clinging to, what I'm projecting, what I'm perceiving. Greg says, I just don't like liars. Understandable. So, however, we do want to avoid, you know, going too much into detail. Let's see. I'm going to drop the link once more. Let me make sure that it is still up and running. And it is. Our friend Joe Delaney. It's going on for almost an hour and a half. Talking about her journey. Here is the link once more. And so we're not going to have a super long live stream today. I do want to catch up with Joe Delaney. So, of all the stuff that we've talked about, all of the above, anything you guys want to continue talking about? Any questions anyone have about anything? Any new topics anyone want to introduce? And it doesn't really matter. I mentioned before, our friend Greg loves to talk about sports as well as music. He's not limited to that, of course, but those are important subjects, and I absolutely love talking about music, of course. And I mentioned before, Greg had asked me sport teams that I like, and nothing like current, but I love sport teams through their eras. I love the 1970s, mid-1970s Pittsburgh Steelers. I love the mid-60s Green Bay Packers. I love the 1971. It was 1971, right, Greg? Miami Dolphins, undefeated season. Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, Mark V. Morris in the backfield. Luke is just here listening. I appreciate that. Larodox likes the name Luke. Okay, now this is a good point from Wolf. If I found out by them telling me, it would be okay. But it was because of the actions causing me trouble. It would depend. I can see that. It would be a wise course of action. Luke says, Larodox, no, people try to steal it. It's got to go with seniority. Who has been Luke the longest? Laradox says, Yogi, is it okay if I leave a few Bible verses in chat? Now, Laradox, I would say for me, I don't care. I don't mind. However, um, there's probably um, probably more than a few people that um, might find it. There's some people here who are not affiliated with a religious thought, religious movement, which is fine. I myself am irreligious, meaning that I don't have a particular religion. I follow the path of yoga. Um, I love Buddhism. I am a student of I'm a student of yoga as well. I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, which is steeped in Christian language, but it's not Christianity. It is a non-dual tradition based upon um, psychological concepts of forgiveness. What I'm interested in is freedom. I don't want to be caught up in my mind stuff. I don't want to hold grudges because I'm holding these thoughts that keep telling me to hold a grudge. I don't want to have grievances against people, including myself. Um, I want to be free. I want to be free of all of that. And when you discover a path that promises you freedom, and when you follow it and you see that freedom happening, you get that joy of being completely open. You don't want to go back. So I keep practicing and practicing and practicing. I love my live streams because every moment's an opportunity to practice. I don't have any grudge against anyone who comes in a live stream for whatever reason. Good intent, bad intent, ill will, goodwill. Um, what I do is try to protect others here who see things differently than me. They're putting their trust in the fact that this is a safe place to be. So, man, that's a long-winded answer to Laradox's question, which I do often. I apologize. So, hey, if you wanted to drop an occasional one, how about we have a compromise? How about one per live stream? There might be many who are, very willing for all of them, and there might be one or two who don't want any. So, we split that middle ground. Not trying to make everyone happy, but we're not trying to hurt anyone either. So if we did one, Greg says, hey, Laradox, do you have friends that are atheists? Laradox, Greg, no, but if I did, I'd love them just as they are. So my own concept of God, I could call God science. I could call God the universe. I could call God unconditional love. All of that would be true. I like to think of God as the Tao. And remember, the beginning of the Tao Te Ching says, the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. The God that can be described isn't the true God. The God that you worship isn't the true God. It's just an appearance of God that for whatever reason, because your parents or grandparents, or because you read a book, or because someone in the clergy convinced you that this was so. And so we go. I'd rather have the experience of God in a moment by moment by moment basis as the reality of my existence than being told or having read in a book, this is what God is. So a Christian hearing me say that would say, well, you're then an atheist. You don't have a firm belief. I have an uncertain belief in everything but uncertainty. I have, the only thing I have complete faith in is change. That's the only constant in my entire life is change. So I could say my God is motion. But none of it matters. It's just stories that we tell ourselves. Let's see. Yep, Laradox is actually named Luke. Yep, I believe Luke knows that. Luke says he was awarded his name 28 years ago after completing a daunting task. Some might say the most daunting task of all. and Luke emerged the winner. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever. If you look at the odds, I forget the name of the mathematician who actually figured out the odds of Luke even existing. Not Luke specifically, all of us. But the odds of Luke existing are astronomically small. Unbelievably small. Think about Luke's ancestors dating all the way back to the first one-celled creature that crawled out of the ocean and then went back in and wasn't immediately eaten by something else. And then that, on and on and on, that kept happening until something emerging more complex. And the complexity kept growing until eventually we had humans, all the things that humans had to survive. All of those were direct ancestors to Luke. And they all made it. And they all had offspring. And eventually, defying every single odd, we have Luke, emerging from the most daunting task of them all, existence itself. A long line of survivors. And his parents bestowed the title Luke. 28 years, he's earned it. We only have one official Luke in this live stream, and it's got to be Luke. Laradox says, okay, I won't leave any. I don't mind if you leave one. You know what, Laradox? Each time you come in, pick one that is incredibly meaningful for you. And then let me know why it's meaningful for you. Greg says, no one will ever convince that there's a God. You're wasting your time. I have never tried to convince anything of anything. I almost said in my entire life. But man, I certainly tried to convince my parents that it wasn't me. I certainly tried to convince police officers to look the other way. I certainly tried to convince teachers that the dog actually did eat my homework. So yeah, it would have been a lie if I said I've never tried to convince anyone of anything. I've never tried to convince anyone that my way of thinking is right, because I don't even know if it's right. It's just thoughts. Barb says, everyone believes and we don't push our spiritual faith on anyone. This is true. Laradox says, I actually would push beliefs. But that's the thing, Laradox. They're beliefs. Why would you push beliefs? You could say you know something for certain, but of course no one can know anything for certain. Barb is offering some deep insight. Laradox, what we say is one thing, but we can't push it. God has his way, not us. Laradox says, I wouldn't like Pestio, but if you don't believe what I do, I'd simply ask why. But how about if it's turned around? I mean, we could easily ask someone, why aren't you a Buddhist? If you were born in a Buddhist culture, you certainly would be a Buddhist. You wouldn't all of a sudden have a Christian awakening. It might happen if you were exposed to it. But if you weren't exposed to it, you'd be a happy Buddhist. And most Buddhists are extremely happy. But the truth is that you're a Christian now because you were probably born or raised in a Christian tradition, or you read something that turned you in that direction. Had you not been exposed to that, had you just been born, you would just be a happy baby, growing up to be a happy adolescent, and then a happy young adult. So I'm saying that from someone who went to a Catholic school through all of my formative years. Wolf says, Greg, there is a country song that says, everyone talks to God. The real chief says he doesn't look happy, but I may be wrong. Which one? Which one doesn't look happy? Me? Yeah, I often don't look happy. I'm almost always happy, but I often don't look happy. Greg says, yes, Paradox, and you're a friend. You can believe what you want. This is true. Let's see. I'm sorry, Real Chief. Um, Paradox says, have you ever heard of the author Sam Phillips? I have not. I've heard of the musical producer Sam Phillips, who had Sun Studio in Nashville and did Elvis Presley's first recording session. I bet you that is something that Greg Dayton knows, probably. Hey, Greg, are you an Elvis fan? So the Real Chief says, are you happy? Why do I feel like I should clap my hands? Um, why are you happy? Uncaused happiness is the best happiness of all. Luke says, I was inevitable Yogi. I believe you were. And it all led you here to proclaim your Lukeness, the Lukedom, the dawning of the Luke. This is where Luke steps up and claims the throne. He is Luke. No one else is. Wolf says, Chief, why would he not be happy? That's a good question. Paradox says, Yogi, I love you as a friend, but I don't support. You don't support monkeys and police. That's what your emojis are telling me. I gotta, you know what? I don't take offense easily, but I gotta say, not supporting monkeys seems to be a crime against monkeys. I don't know how anyone else in the chat feels about that. I can't think that they would be happy. What has a monkey ever done to you that they don't deserve your support? As for police, you know what? They got a tough job. Do I like everything a police officers do? I don't. Police officers are individuals, but I support police and the role that they have. I've had my run-ins with police, that's for sure. I was a bit of a troublemaker growing up. I was never bad, meaning I never did anything out of ill intent, but I found myself in trouble for just being me. Particularly, you guys might find this hard to believe, I used to be a bit of a smartass. I didn't take a whole lot of things seriously, and that got me in a lot of trouble. Real Chief says, he doesn't look happy, but I may be wrong. You might be, Chief. Flower says, Luke says yes. Capital letter yes. That means he has stepped up. Flower says, not me. I'm always smiling. And you're always friendly. Greg says, yes, many songs are very good by Elvis. Did you know Stevie Wonder, who says Chuck Berry is the king of rock? Very interesting. You know what? I'm not going to say that Elvis was the king, but I'm not going to say Stevie Wonder was the king either. Or I'm not sorry, not Stevie Wonder. I'm not going to say Chuck Berry was either. I like Chuck Berry, but everything was just Chuck Berry, his entire career. Man, if I had to pick a king, a true king of rock, Carl Perkins, Little Richard, I don't know. Interesting, Greg. You got me thinking. So, Laradox says, I don't support evolution. So, you're trying to keep monkeys in their place, is what you're saying. You don't want monkeys to evolve. That's just as bad, Laradox. Monkeys have every right to evolve to be the best monkeys that they can be. Laradox says, no, I support police. Good. He loves police. I'm happy to hear that. Barb says, my son was a law enforcer and told many things that went on that we never knew. Yeah, I bet they have stories to tell. Luke says, hey, I used to be a monkey man. Leave them out of this. I agree. I'm sticking with Luke. I'm sticking with the original Luke. The one and only Luke. If there's only two people in this world supporting monkeys, and it's me and it's Luke, I feel sorry for the rest of you. Nardoc says, if only if I'm a smartass. Yeah, if you're wondering, you probably are. Nardoc says, I shouldn't have cussed. Greg says, Nardoc, some religious people can be very annoying. Not gonna lie, that's true. Some non-religious people can be very annoying. I've met yogis that are very annoying. Hey, some of you might be saying, man, all Yogi's been doing this whole conversation has been talking about poopinators and monkeys, and that's pretty damn annoying. Laradoc says he loves monkeys. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. Jacob says, I'm going to go take a nap. Big salute to you, brother, Mr. Yogi. Thank you for having me on your live stream. Much love and big salute to you. Big salute to you, Jacob, as well. Much appreciated. Always, my friend. Barb says, what do you think about the commandments being put back in school? You know what? Here's an interesting thing. In Christianity, why aren't we putting the Sermon on the Mount back in schools? Shouldn't we use the actual words of Jesus back in school? It's an interesting way to think about it. You know, we could just as easily have the Beatitudes. And you would think, I would think that if we were just a Judaic nation, that putting the Ten Commandments might be a good idea, I guess. But if people want to do it in support of their Christianity, they should put the actual words of Christ, of Jesus, in the school. Because remember when Jesus was asked the greatest commandments, and it was love God with all your heart, body, and soul, paraphrased, and the just as great, love others as yourself. So Jesus basically said those are the two greatest commandments. How about if we just put those two? Barb says, talk to you later, Jacob. Laradoc says he loves police. Laradoc says I meant monkey in front of man. I don't know. I've met some pretty fine monkeys. And I met some pretty lousy people. I haven't had a drink in, it's been 20, 25 years now. And I think if I were going to have a beer right now, I would pick a monkey to have a beer with over any person that I know. That's just me, though. Let's see. Laradoc says, because I don't believe in evolution, just like some people don't support Christians. Barb said, that's so true. They nitpick. Let's see. Luke says, it's the way you talk about monkeys and poop that make it not annoying. Well, I appreciate that. It makes me think, is there an art form in talking about poop and monkeys? Can you turn it into an art form? Has anyone ever read Jack Kerouac, On the Road, The Dharma Bums? And you know about Neil Cassidy. Neil Cassidy was Dean Moriarty, in the character Dean Moriarty in Jack Kerouac's On the Road. And he later became the bus driver on Further, the bus that drove from San Francisco to New Jersey. I believe it was New Jersey. With the house band, the Warlocks, who later became the Grateful Dead. Neil Cassidy was known for his ongoing dialogues about anything. nonstop. Always fascinated me. So I love that art form of just conversation. Anything can pop up in the conversation in the live stream, and that we all could just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. It could be anything at all. Barb says, putting commandments in school, but not allowing the reading of the Bible. Well, I'm afraid going down this road would lead us to talk about politics, and one of the few things I don't like talking about, politics. I do talk politics with Mocha, and I used to with my dad. Therodox says, Jesus didn't teach hate, he washed feet. 100%. Therodox says, Yogi, you're just trolling? I am a little bit. Therodox says, Yogi, would it be weird? You're saying if you like flour? I don't know. Therodox says, I'm saying that because she's gone. She might not be gone. Flour will lurk. The iron fist of flour can spring up anywhere at any time. I would say be careful approaching anyone online with any feelings whatsoever, other than that, that unconditional welcoming. Barb says, I believe in both, for we do not know the time it took God to blink. Could be 20 million years for that. Wise. Barb, very, very wise. Wolf says, the Ten Commandments can be viewed as simple words of wisdom, as a guide to live if you so desire. I agree. Me personally, I prefer what's called the 10 yamas and the niyamas in yoga. It's the ethical foundation, and it begins with ahimsa, which is non-harm. And then you have everything's viewed as a restraint, because as you restrain non-harm, peace grows as the opposite. When you put it in non-lying, then truthfulness grows. And then you have non-hoarding, and then you have the sexual restraint, the energy. It's not so much being celibate as it is realizing the power within that energy and guarding it. Don't let it flitter away from you mindlessly. And then you have the niyamas, which are 5 personal observances, with the very last being surrender. You could say surrender to God, surrender to the universe, surrender to truth. So Luke says, I'm surprised no one has talked about monkey throwing poop yet. This is true. It seems to me that Mr. Poopinator dropped the ball on that. It's a good thing Luke stepped up. Otherwise, that would have been completely unaddressed. That would have been a waste of a perfectly good live stream, if you ask me. Strong correlation there. Larodox says, I disbelieve the Earth is like 10K years old, probably. What would you do if the Earth disbelieved in a Larodox? Would you still exist? Greg Dayton says, hey, Larodox, there's a lot of people acting religious and being violent and horrible. That's just phonies. This is true. Larodox says, yes, she's sneaky. It's not that she's sneaky. She is the ways of the iron-fisted flower are beyond the mortal man. I told you got to be careful, Laradox. But you know what? It is for uh, your best interest that you guys approach that, however you approach it, um, like on personal pages. Mr. Poopinator says, "Why do flies eat poop?" It's a good question. Why do flies eat poop? I guess because it's available. It might be a delicacy. They might consider it takeout. Hey, let's send out for poop tonight. And then someone, a Mr. Poopinator, comes along, and there you have it. Wolf says, Flower is the B-52 of mods. She can show up in a moment and take care of business. Exactly. Classy and Crazy is here. Says, hi, Yogi. Classy and Crazy, my friend, how are you? Flower says, I would still exist because I know Jesus always believed in me. What if I told you that the you who thinks that they exist is not the true you? Let's see. Flower says, I was reading and my phone fell down and the live opened, so I was washing my hands. So, again, we're going to keep the overly personal stuff to the personal pages. So, Laradox, can you be cool with that? Greg says, hey, Laradox, you're a bit annoying with that Jesus talk, but you seem cool. Signature's here. Signature, my friend, how are you? Hope you guys are subscribed to Signature. Beautiful channel. Absolutely beautiful. So, I think we'll probably talk for a few minutes more. Call it an afternoon. I'll be back in the evening. Aerodax says, Greg, I don't think that's the nicest thing to say, but it's okay. Wolf says they're doing good. Hey, Wolf, I'm glad the storm didn't make an appearance for you guys. Greg says he's just got to be honest. So, what we could do, remember, everything's an opportunity. Every moment we got that opportunity to choose peace instead of this, peace instead of conflict. Is it easy? No, not always, but it gets easier. And when you do choose, then it's easy, because then everything is just, it is. So the one thing to keep in mind is there is always that flip side. So I just want to point out to Laradox says, keep you honest to yourself. The same could be flipped around and keep your religious opinion to yourself. I'm not saying that. And, it's all good as far as I'm concerned. But just makes me wonder, how often do we take the opportunity to look at something from a different angle, a different perspective? Everyone has multiple perspectives. The one that I have right now might not be the perspective that I have in my very next live stream. So, embrace the fact that we just don't know. Live in the mystery. Be content with the mystery. Don't always have to demand that things be the way we think they are. Because in truth, they're never the way we think they are. Choose classy every time. I agree, 100%. Wolf says, we just got a little bit of rain, but nothing serious. I'm glad to hear. Classy says, that's good, Moon Wolf. I cannot find you both. I'm glad it's working out okay. Good. Let's see. Flower has to go. Yep, we're going to go too, Flower. Hey, thanks for the mod skill. I completely agree with Wolf that Flower is the B52 of moderators. You have a great day too. Have a good practice tomorrow. Luke says, I like Classy from South Park. You know, I haven't watched South Park in probably since the 90s. I made an unpopular statement once on Facebook that got me into trouble. I like The Simpsons. I liked them at the beginning. I still like them now, although, yeah, the heyday is gone. However, King of the Hill. King of the Hill topped. And I'm going to go so far as right now to say that I think Bob's Burger is the best of all. Classic Crazy says, me too, love South Park's humor. Maybe, you know, like I said, it's been a long time. I know they're up on the Comedy Central. So I'm going to have to, hey, if it gets an endorsement from Classy and Luke, then it means I need to tune back in. Flower's gone. Larodux is gone. Classic Crazy said, good shows. Yeah, I especially love Bob's Burger. People like to point out, I mentioned before, you know, Simpsons is repeating itself. It's not as funny as it was. Man, they've been on for so long. Nothing's ever as funny as it was. But they're still consistently funny. Greg says, I think Larodox is upset with me. He's been upset with me before. But he keeps coming back. Larodox won't be completely happy until my soul is saved. I actually believe my soul is pretty much in good grace. Let's see. Classy says those kids are fun on Bob's Burger. Yeah, they are. You know what? Futurama is good. And I was excited about the reboot. And I watched the first episode and I thought, it wasn't that great. Luke says, ever since Member Berries, South Park has been great. I remember. All right, I'm going to check it out. It's like I said, it's been a while. I mean, literally a while. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap things up. This was a crazy live stream. But you know what? Even in the craziness of talking about monkeys and poop, and believe it or not, we weren't talking about monkey poop. Seems like we missed something. And I think Luke pointed that out up above. But amidst all the stuff that we talked about, there's also some pretty important stuff mixed in there as well. And that's what I like. That we just keep, weaving this conversation in different ways and seeing what comes out of it. Nothing has to come out of it, to be honest. We don't need to reach a conclusion and say, well, that was good. We've settled that. In some ways, though, we settled quite a bit. We know that there's only one Luke. Only one. We know Mr. Poopinator is not constipated. So you know what? These little things that we've reached a conclusion on, that could be just enough. Greg says sometimes people get upset in here. That's life. Hey, you know what? There was an interview with Mr. Rogers on David Letterman in the 90s, and they were talking about some pretty deep stuff. And David said, "You seem so optimistic, though. How do you get through the day with some bad things happening?" And his answer, very sweetly, as only Mr. Rogers could do, sometimes bad things happen in the neighborhood. So, hey, sometimes bad things happen in the live stream with just a yogi in his basement doing burpees, or the other way around. Um, that's the way it works. I agree with Greg. That's life. Wise words from our friend Greg Dayton. And Wolf says, blessings to you, Yogi, and everyone else. Have a wonderful day. You too, my friend. I'll be back about 2 hours or so. Flower says, I had a bad day. You lighten it up, Yogi. Thanks. Hey, like I said, way up above. If that's the only thing that was accomplished all day is that we helped Flower lighten things up a bit. If we made her smile, if she laughed out loud, more than enough for me, guys. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. I'll be back. I appreciate all of you guys being here, everything you added to the conversation, everything you added to my day. So thank you guys. Take care.